Do you know the Chinese are here? And they may be also
this
hired
is a more
as
important
nannies for you, right? Soon you'll be having a ching chong teaching your children Mandarin in your houses as well. Because look, they're here and they have the bells of clothes, you know, the imported clothes. This is mitumba, and you can see this is, they've not given his name, but maybe you can give him a moniker, Ching Wan Hung. Ching Wan Hung is here, and of course you can see the bell of clothes as well. So soon these people, we've had them selling also Mahindi Choma.
Goods.
There might be also in your
Plastic
butchery, around you, to sell also your meat as well. This is a Chinese invasion. The Chinese in Gikomba, traders in second-hand clothes and the imported kitchenware feel the heat as Chinese traders open shop. So since we have these foreigners here and threatening also small traders as well, what is the remit of the legislators on this? Because now it seems Chinese are everywhere. We're importing fish, we're importing toothpicks, and now also they might be coming to our houses also to take care of our children.
I think maybe I can start the bar and say first, for me it's a very sad moment for Kenya to see a Chinese putting up goods in a developing country at this level, this basic level. Because you see there are categories of what a foreigner can actually, of jobs that they can do. And even to get their permits, work permit or business permits, you need to see if it is employment. Is it employment that a Kenyan doesn't have skills, is not trained, there is nobody who can meet that gap before you allow a foreigner to come here to work. Now, when it now comes that they are in Gikomba market, they are in River Road, and the parallel of that is that the goods of our traders have been held in the port since 2017 December, January 2018, and maybe I want to commend the president because there is now some activity that is happening. But you see, we are talking about 1.5 years. Those goods have lost value. Some of them obviously will not be right for the market. The losses have occurred. They have closed their shops, and they have been speaking and talking. I think the Committee for Trade in Parliament has slept on its job, and they are my colleagues. I think they need to give us a solution because obviously the Ministry of Interior, where immigration and then trade ministry, they are the ones supposed to deal with this. As executive, we oversight. So if we are the ones letting the ministry sleep also on its job, then I think they are the public should actually be telling us, hey, you are messing. But you can imagine the government is running the government like this. How many Chinese is, population of China? If we release that population in this small market,
yes,
we are done. We cannot have our eggs in the market now because the cost of producing one egg in Kenya could be a quarter of what Chinese egg is being produced at. Onions are coming from Tanzania at 15 shillings a kilo. Kenyan farmer cannot grow onion per kilo at 15 bob. Sugar has completely died. Coffee in my Mount Kenya region, to date, the ministry, the executive has not brought the regulations, and we have been asking for the regulations to be able to regulate the market and remove the middlemen, remove the brokers. But you know what, Dibar? The owners of some of these big businesses are also very politically powerful.
And of course, very politically powerful. And this, I think, also was another story that was running on Sunday as well, as far as SGR is concerned, because we have also politicians who, maybe, not to mention the politicians, but some people in this country who are having shadow companies who are benefiting as well from the SGR, of course, the SGR infrastructure as well. Actually, so we are talking about a state capture here, and maybe even some of it.
They come to Gikomba.
Actually, the
SGR come to Gikomba.
What is it? It didn't say the Chinese come up to Gikomba. The SGR, we need to look at the contracts then. You know.
So actually, we're loving those babe delivered straight to Gikomba as well. Yeah. I just want to show you what was on the Daily Nation, so maybe you can actually have a snippet of what they are talking about as well. This was on Sunday, yesterday, the 9th. Mystery local owners in special, it says, SGR from before launch of Madaraka Express, a secret meeting landed over the operation of the trains to a newly created special purpose company. With majority Chinese shareholdings and room for Kenyan ownership. Confidential pact shows this. You can have this also if you didn't grab a copy of the Daily Nation, of the Sunday Nation yesterday on page 4 and 5. This is what we were talking about. So all these Chinese people that you see around, now they're in Gikomba, who are protecting them? And when we're talking about work permits, I don't know, okay, forgive my deficiency on the regulations about immigration and all, my knowledge on that, but who gives them the work permits, or maybe the trading permits as well?
Trading
actually
licenses.
Trading
licenses.
Let me say this. The story yesterday was quite shocking. I read it, I couldn't just believe. And you know, when the British or the colonialists came to Africa, part of what they used to get to the African market was they would even give us a leader some mirror. And if they look at themselves in the mirror, they are very mesmerized and they give way. There used to be a very strong state called Kona in Congo. And you hear about how slave trade was made very lucrative. So the king of that small enclave would capture his subjects and sell them off, and in exchange for arms. So you get the arms, you keep on capturing your people, then you get money and all of that. And that is how nearly half of the African population was decimated and subjugated. I shudder to imagine the manner in which the Chinese have come to our country, not just our country, but Africa, the BAL, and made a mockery of ourselves. Let me give you an example. Recently, I was at the African Union headquarters. The headquarters have been built at a cost of about $200 million US. That's around about 20 billion. And out there, they have written China aid. 54 African countries could not contribute $3 to $4 million each to build their own headquarters. Now, when there are meetings, they do espionage. Even the computers, this one's called ThinkPad, they are all donated. Recently, even Parliament received 1,000 of them. They can do espionage. They can even see documents as you debate. Before the African Heads of States Summit, they are all over there saying they are doing repairs, so they can back the place.
This is the iPad that actually was installed in Parliament?
The ThinkPad, the laptops.
The laptops.
No, not the iPad, the ThinkPad. But you see somebody somewhere in procurement will say, I will exchange this for procurement. Like they will say they are the ones who bought and they pocket the money. So what am I trying to say? If you look at the contract of running the SDR, it is despicable. In fact, I can say I'm ashamed that I was in the first Madaraka Express. It is totally unacceptable because you have a contract that gives all the privileges to the Chinese, all the rights, and running some entity that ideally, in my opinion, is not a going concern. It's actually running at a loss. And they are the ones who even determine the ticketing. You are the same people who profiled the story the other day about how the Chinese are manipulating the ticketing system. They are not having full disclosure. We have had in the Committee of Senate, where I'm a member, Labour, complaints about the way the Kenyans are being mistreated currently in our own country. Now, when you look at the SGR, it seems to be not to be taking our exports abroad. If you look at the avocado issue, where we are supposed to freeze our avocado at them to 20 or 15 degrees negative, and they must be peeled. Which supermarket sells peeled avocados? You know? But some people somewhere, when they went to negotiate, they must have gotten some kickback. They must have gotten some shares in these companies, these shadows. Just like the way we had Safaricom and Mobitele and those kind of things. It's the same thing. We are selling our birthright as we see it for small time gains. And people don't care. We just are a market. And we are the ones who are being mortgaged the BAL. So it is totally unacceptable. And by the way, don't blame Parliament here, because some of these agreements are never brought to Parliament. When we have debt, it is not brought to Parliament. And we have not interrogated. We have only increased the ceilings of borrowing, which we have since surpassed. You know, so when you see why, and sorry to say this, I'm saying this with a lot of reflection. When you see an African being subjugated, being seen as an inferior human being, it is because of these arrangements. It is because of individuals who have no patriotism in their heart. When they go to negotiate for contracts, they only think about themselves. They only think about their businesses. And then we are supposed to clap and say, hey, voila, we have a deal. By the time you know, the fine print has already given all the rights. Because why would you have another company, for heaven's sake, why would you have another company running our railway when you have Kenya Railway Corporation? We did a mistake with RVR, Rift Valley Railways, and even before somebody who had come here with a PowerPoint presentation and almost had taken over that contract. What is it about our people? If you remember the cost of SGR, Debal, we paid over 40 billion shillings to shadowway landowners who bought land from poor Kenyans and then were able to get money from the government for compensation. You see? So what am I trying to say in short? This is how we are selling our country. And the Chinese will even come and even start being matatu drivers because we have allowed them. I'm sure all what you need to do is to bribe somebody. Recently, I was very shocked in this Nairobi. I saw somebody with the name, is it Mutinda? And this Mutinda man was looking very much Nigerian. But he had a Kenyan ID. And he's running a business in Nairobi. And then he tells me, oh, my mother is the one who was in Nigeria for 26 years. And it's of course a lie. That person cannot even speak some simple Swahili. And yet, he has a national ID. How many Kenyans, including these Chinese, who actually have even the Kenyan passport? Because we don't value ourselves. We are not patriotic. As long as we have some little amounts of money, every good we pass at the border, you know. So we need to really have a serious national conversation about the Chinese. The other day, as I finish on this one, Senator Pogisho is a co-chair of the National Prayer Breakfast. As he was introducing the international guests, when he said Chinese, people just laughed. Said, this was, we are always with them here. You know, it was not news to Kenyans. And of course, obviously, we have also started having children with them, which is also true.
Pogisho.
To discuss this matter,
yes.
you bring back the issue of corruption, basically, in the country. And it is at the heart of corruption. To do anything, to arrive to the place where SGR is right now, you started the process of corruption from the beginning. And this is all, of course, documented. It's corruption, corruption, corruption. So SGR is a product of corrupt dealings. And go back to where I told you before, even here in this media, that we get our budget. Our budget always has already been planned with that in mind.
Corruption.
That we will then have this project because this project is going to go to the Chinese, and because it is easier then to do business with the Chinese than to do business with the other people. So we end up having the Chinese all the time. And if you've done it one year, you do it another year, you do it another, it becomes like part of our budgeting. It becomes automatic. That is part of it. We now know, Dibal, that any competition for projects, definitely it will go to Chinese. Okay? Why is that so? I ask you a question. So to have to ask ourselves today that they are in Gikomba, where did the rain start to beat us? At what point did the rain start to beat us? Where did we miss the turn as we were going? So you know, with obviously somebody issues them easily. Why? Again, it's easy to do business with them. And how do you do that business?
No. But when you say it is easy to do business with them, what are we talking about truly here? Easy. What is the easiest way to do business with them?
There is a measure, by the way, in business called the ease of doing business.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so that's what I mean.
But China has been known world over when it comes to the best business practices, that they're not doing it at all, right? We've just mentioned the cases of espionage here. I mean, we have China-US
I don't know whether you
right
get
now.
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But that's why when you're talking about ease of doing business, you should not tuck it away and say now they actually don't have dead hand of bureaucracy. Can we just call it what it is then?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's giving a good name to a bad practice,
Yes.
basically. The ease is that it's easy for them to get approvals for everything through corruption.
Okay.
Correct.
And what I'm saying, basically, our own people, who are giving permits and so on, they're able even to to hide all that from the media. Even the media can't focus on it. They're able to do that. They can hide it from even the investigators because there is money.
Again, it comes back to you legislators then. If we have our country subjecting ourselves or maybe doing business with a country that has questionable business practices, especially on the intellectual properties as well, aren't we looking for a morally ethical, country that is doing business the proper way? You say the issue of corruption as well.
Yeah.
Then are we just left at the ransom of the Chinese? So this is the way to go. Whoever calls the shot as far as making all these trade deals is concerned, then we just go the way they've pointed to the Chinese.
Well,
let's face east. Now we are facing east.
Let me also
regardless of their ethical practices as well.
Let me also clarify that we can't say that Chinese government plan to be corrupt. No, we are saying basically if there is 1% corruption in Kenya, 1% corruption in China is the size of Kenya. You understand? If there is one or two companies in Kenya which are corrupt, you just think about the number of those companies which can come from China, and then individuals in Kenya. We have a problem. We have a problem because if you ask yourself, if there's a project that comes, a Chinese big project, we buy into the project, and then the person who drives the truck is from China. The person who drives the forklift is from China. When you do that, Dibal, you begin to ask yourself, what happened to what happened to Kenyans?
Pogisu, because I want you also to point out a very crucial aspect of it, because we have Chinese also threatening the number of donkeys in this country. And I know for export court, people use a lot of...
We sell a lot of donkeys.
Yeah, and we know this is a whole... But we are the same country, we've allowed abattoirs for the slaughter of these donkeys as well. Right now, according to statistics, we have donkeys in Kenya, which is almost less than 1 million. In the near future, in the near, actually 5 good years, won't be having any donkeys in this country.
Again.
And this is being used as, for some of their practices in China. I don't know if it's called a sajo, or some drug of sorts in China as well. This is raising concerns in this country as far as donkey meat is concerned, and the donkey trade and them disappearing. And I know also from Export Court, you've had a lot of livestock and donkeys disappearing as well. But why aren't you raising this concern as well for the many Kenyans who are actually suffering? Their livestock stolen every day.
It is this. Well, let's leave out the donkey, because the donkey things, everybody knows that if you want to start a factory, you first of all look at your source of donkeys, okay? And you know the number of donkeys in Kenya cannot sustain a factory for so long. But somebody went ahead and allowed that to happen. Now people are sourcing donkeys from all over Africa. I'm sure donkeys are being driven from as far as Congo. But just for that factory. Because the Kenyan donkeys are not sufficient. We don't have numbers of donkeys, because donkeys were meant for a few people own 1 donkey or 2 donkeys. Nobody owns a herd of donkeys.
Actually, for work.
Yeah,
not
just for work.
Not for consumption.
So this is something that creates a domino effect on our economy. It doesn't even sustain our economy. Because I mean, we don't have too many people going to look after donkeys. Not many people look after donkeys. Donkeys actually are wild, almost wild. Nobody takes care of them. So, but I am just telling you that let's not condemn the whole government of China, but let's the individuals and companies within China and Kenya here, and then the government officials in Kenya who allow them to come in, will definitely have to answer. And I think if we focus on this, and our media focuses properly on these things, then legislature is empowered, okay, to look at the laws and look at the regulations, because we actually are responsible for those laws and regulations.
Right. Let's just give our closing remarks as well. 30 seconds as well. We have that interesting editorial cartoon. Maybe Alice, you can comment on it as you're winding up. Briefly, 30 seconds.
You want us to comment on the cartoon?
No, you can comment also your headline.
Yeah,
thoughts.
well,
The
okay.
cartoon is
On
still
the
related
headlines,
to,
I
yes.
think I will start with the subject that we started with. I think the media should dig into this subject in a broader manner, not narrow down on Parliament, so that we have a national, honest conversation regarding payments and allowances for all public servants.
Thank you.
And then there we shall have offered a solution.
Thank you.
Then in respect of this Chinese in Gikomba and elsewhere, there is a national outcry, and I think we are not headed in the right direction. We need to interrogate as Parliament the agreements, major agreements that we have, because if we start there, then we can begin to understand the complex and the problem that we are facing. But for me, I think immediately,
Thank you.
this kind of licenses should be completely withdrawn.
Thank you.
And the Minister for Trade and the Interior Minister should actually respond to the Kenyan outcry immediately,
Right, thank
without
you.
waste of time.
Isaac.
Yeah.
Two things. Number one is that the doing away of the term limits by Xi Jinping in China is something that we need to be worried about. We will see this happening a lot because you see African heads of states supplicating to this man as if he's a headmaster. You saw in the last Belt and Road Conference. And also, it's also good for Kenyans to know that in China also there's a political corruption kind of witch hunting. So if people leave power, then they're taken to jail, and it has been happening for quite some time.
Thank you.
And then finally, we are paying 600 billion now in debt in the current budget. That is nearly a third of our budget. And that is to tell you that much of this money is going.
Thank you.
The
30 seconds are over.
If you allow me just 1 minute.
No.
One line. The Paris Club did away with odious debt in the 90s. It's a vicious cycle. Now we are with the Chinese. We need to ask ourselves, who is the constant here? I think it is us.
Right. Who's a constant? It is us. Let's hear. Okay, Pogisho.
Yes,
Closing remarks, 30 seconds.
Let me just look at the whole scenario of how we need to work with members of parliament, and I think with your parliaments. I think we need to improve that working relationship so that we can actually have members of parliament empowered. I think we should look at how do we have proper empowerment for the houses to do their legislative and oversight role. I mean, that has been misunderstood, and I think maybe we're not doing a good job ourselves. Maybe we need actually to have a way to present this.
Thank you. I really do appreciate your input this morning. I know it's been a squeamish discussion, especially for you, but you've done well.